Hello everyone and welcome to my channel Meg Sullivan. Today I'm launching my test pilot episode for a new Indie Spotlight series, which shines a light on smaller indie games I think my audience might really like. Now I've covered smaller games before like Scarlet Deer Inn, Virgo vs. the Zodiac, Coffee Talk, etc. But I sometimes worry these games get a little lost in the sauce, so I thought maybe I would cover these games as part of a separate little series that's easy for people to find. At any rate, today I'm reviewing the Steam version of Hanako's Flower Shop, developed and published by Fantagy Games. And full disclosure, I was given a review code for the game. This little diamond in the rough is half visual novel, half resource management game, and it really surprised me. It's fully voiced, it's a unique concept that blends together two genres I like, and it features a rather touching story about love, loss, friendship, and family. I definitely have a few critiques on what the game could improve upon, but let me explain why this slice of life game is absolutely worth your time. Hanako's Flower Shop is the bittersweet story of a young girl named Hanako who lives in rural Japan and wants to help her beloved grandfather run his flower shop. When her parents suddenly move overseas for a job opportunity, Hanako convinces her grandfather to let her stay behind and help him run his store. She insists that she's ready to start putting together beautiful bouquets that make people feel happy and cared for. Her grandfather happily agrees, and after a quick tutorial walking the player through the very basic and very cute menu system, kudos to the developer for designing a user interface made up of simple pictures that make it easy for even kids to understand which icon opens what menu, Hanako is free to welcome customers to the shop, listen to their personal stories, and then help them put together bouquets that express their most heartfelt emotions. Hanako's Flower Shop is first and foremost a visual novel, and for most of the 6 to 8 hour adventure, Hanako, and by association the player, spends most of their time as a passive listener, although she occasionally does get a few dialogue choices that mildly change the outcome of some interactions. And the good news is that many of these conversations and stories are pretty interesting. Hanako will find herself talking to a bitter ballerina, a quirky animal rights activist, a socially awkward office worker, a dude who cannot find a decent date to save his life, and the world's most annoying independent film director, just to name a few. These interactions are elevated by some excellent voice acting, and I'm impressed that such a tiny game comes with a full-blown voice cast, like every line is spoken. It makes a huge difference, especially when the game starts to suffer from some pacing issues. Interesting themes like loss and betrayal do pop up, and they definitely got my attention, especially after it's revealed one of Hanako's clients is a straight-up pathological liar. But these attention-grabbing moments are either at the start of the game or the end of the story, which means the middle hours of the game were a bit of a drag, because for a while it's just Hanako walking people through some fairly unexciting problems. But it's worth pushing through the uneven narrative, and by the end, I actually felt like I knew these characters and considered them friends, especially when they wrote Hanako letters updating her on their personal journey. I really enjoyed watching Hanako help them process their feelings through the magic of flowers, which brings us to the secondary gameplay feature, the actual florist mechanic. After listening to people pour their hearts out to Hanako, players have the chance to go back and review the customer's story, then underline any keywords or emotions they think will help Hanako make the perfect bouquet. Keywords include respect, harmony, love, admiration, regret, kindness, and so on. Then, once these keywords are identified, the player can look through their inventory of flowers to try and find ones that align with the customer's heartfelt emotions. So, if a customer is talking about, say, someone in their life that makes them happy or inspires them or brings them joy, Hanako's bouquet could include a flower like, say, narcissus. And what I like is that the way players know they have the right flower is that each flower in Hanako's inventory includes a list of that flower's emotional attributes, which can be doubled or tripled if you put more than one specific type of flower or more than one flower sharing the same attribute in a bouquet. But since Hanako can only select up to 6 flowers at a time, it's important to find the right mix of flowers before handing it off to a customer. I like this educational angle to the gameplay. It's fun to learn about the emotional significance of flowers like roses, lilacs, narcissus, hyacinth, carnations, etc. And since this is a cozy slice of life game, you never have to worry about failing or wasting flowers, because if you pick the wrong type of flower for your bouquet, the game will gently suggest replacing one type of flower with another. But there is a slight downside to this gentle assist. I never knew why the game was pushing me to swap flowers, especially when thematically it didn't make any sense. For example, once I was told to put together a bouquet with themes like kindness and respect, but one of the flowers I was pushed to include aligned with something like sorrow and regret. And so many of these flowers have such similar emotional attributes that sometimes it was hard to tell which flowers to choose for a bouquet. I know this is a tiny game and time and budget constraints probably prevented this, but I wish there was a larger variety of flowers in the game so that getting orders confused wouldn't be a problem. At the very least, I wish there was like an encyclopedia of flowers or a codex that would allow me to learn more about these wonderful flowers featured in Hanako's shop. But that's okay, I still had fun putting together bouquets, and I like that there was a tiny bit of time and resource management in this game. Hanako can't just endlessly produce flowers all day and night. She'll need to eat snacks to replenish her energy, get some rest in the evening, which allows her to listen to her grandfather's amusing bedtime stories, and restock her supply of flowers, which can be done by either hitting up her personal garden, going on a walk and snipping flowers in a field, outright buying them with money, or asking a pair of adorable twins to bring her random flowers they find on their walks. These activities break up the monotony of simply listening to stories and putting together bouquets, although essentially it's impossible to run out of flowers or energy. Even on rainy days that hobble Hanako's ability to work in the garden or go for walks, she can still order flowers or listen to the radio to up her energy. In short, resource and time management is pretty fail-proof in this game. I mean, I almost never paid attention to the price of flowers or how many I had because I was never in any real danger of failing in my duties. But I do appreciate that these mechanics are there. It allows the player to take a more active role in Hanako's daily activities. And that's the thing. Hanako's Flower Shop is meant to be a cozy, warm-hearted story about a girl who learns to wield the emotional power of flowers with respect and gratitude. It's meant to be light on challenge and heavy on the feels, and in that regard, it succeeds. Granted, I feel like it never quite reached its full potential, and it would be nice if the mechanics were a little deeper and the story a little tighter, but you know what? I'm just happy it exists at all, which is why I'm recommending this game to those of you who want a short, cozy experience that blends a visual novel with a resource management game. As long as you keep your expectations in check for this tiny little indie title, I think you'll have a genuinely good time. Thanks so much for watching, guys. See you later.